Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Kakashi trains Team 7 and Team 7 develops into a truly capable shinobi team? Part 2. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Naruto watched his crush with bated breath. He was angry with his sensei for putting her through this. Sakura was being torn apart by the weight of her decision. Sakura took a deep breath. Before she could change her mind, she pulled out a kunai and threw it at the helpless shinobi. The kunai sank into the soft flesh of Gozu's neck. Death took the shinobi and Sakura felt a chill cover her body. Kakashi walked over to Sakura and gently cupped her face. Good work, shinobi. The word shinobi was said quietly yet forcefully. It imparted meaning that was not there before. Meaning that was not there prior to the taking of a life. Sakura stood proudly for a moment, her chin lifted up. A sudden sickening sensation filled her. I'm proud I murdered someone in cold blood. Sakura turned away and ran 4 steps before heaving the contents of her stomach out. Naruto went to comfort her but Kakashi stopped him with a simple shake of his head. Sakura puked her guts out and then collapsed to her knees. Soft sobs filled the clearing. Kakashi summoned Pakun and gave him instructions to take a message back to Konoha. All 3 of his genin made no comment on the summon. The Ninkin was a bit miffed but saw the corpse and instantly knew that it had been someone's first kill. Pakun just agreed to take the message and rushed off to the village hidden in the leaves. The pink-haired girl's cries finally stopped. She sniffed a few times and looked at her teammates. I'm ready. They continued their journey to Nami no Kuni. Sasuke remarked to Naruto, are you sure you identified them correctly? They were weak and were Chunin. Yup, I'm sure they were on page 11. Maybe they got rusty. Kakashi interrupted their conversation, ranks don't mean everything. They may have become Chunin based on their stealth abilities. At first I did not sense them, that means they had Jonin level stealth skills. If it wasn't for their lack of knowledge of the weather here they would have been able to strike before I was ready. Kakashi gave a small shrug, I probably would have survived but I could see it working on other Jonin. And it would have been a piece of cake against a Chunin or lower. Their Jonin sensei continued his lecture on rankings. Luck also places a factor in Chunin exams. Each village structures their exam in a different way. It wouldn't surprise me if the village hidden in the mist focuses on stealth as a key to passing their Chunin exams. Kakashi also warned them that rank could be deceptive. There was a genin within Konoha that was probably more powerful than any Chunin servicing in the Leaf's shinobi force. Naruto asked, why hasn't he been promoted? He has refused every promotion. Why? He has his reasons but they aren't mine to share. They camped at night. Kakashi personally set a number of traps as well as cast a genjutsu over them to hide their presence. That done, they also set up watches. On the first watch, Sakura talked with Kakashi. Kakashi-sensei, does it get easier? Kakashi looked at her, his gaze steady with a hint of compassion in his single visible eye. Yes. Killing is something that gets easier over time. You will always remember your first kill, but if you have a long and successful career as a shinobi, it will become second nature. Sakura was chilled at the thought of being used to killing people. You kill for a reason, to finish the mission. Ultimately, the mission is the security of Konoha. For your parents, your future children, your teammates, fellow shinobi, and those who cannot protect themselves. By killing your enemies, you keep your village safe, you save lives. Sakura looked like she wanted to say something but Kakashi continued. Sakura, make no mistake, the demon brothers were destined to die the minute they attacked us. The one we left behind for Anbu to pick up will be interrogated and then executed. If you hadn't killed him, someone else would have. If you choose to quit the team and stop being a shinobi, someone else will fill that role and blood will still be spilled. The copy Nin's gaze took on a harsher appearance. A refusal to kill, to not be a shinobi, does not lessen killing in the world. It only passes the burden on to someone else. Your squeamishness was a risk for Team 7 and you will emerge from this stronger. You are strong enough to bear the burden so someone else doesn't need to. Take pride in that. You bear the sacrifice of the bloody hands so someone else doesn't need to. Sakura thought about her sensei's words. His remarks were perfectly logical and they made sense. But some part of her soul fled from the cold logic that justified the dealing of death. The no longer innocent girl bowed her head. There has to be a better way, sensei. Kakashi sighed. I wish there was Sakura, but we live in a flawed world. Kakashi then grinned despite of the somber mood. But maybe when your teammate is Hokage he can bring the naive dream that is peace to reality. After all, he is the #1 unpredictable ninja, maybe he'll just surprise us all. Kakashi's grin slowly vanished, not that anyone could really see it behind his mask, and his tone hardened. Until that day comes, I expect you to be a shinobi and kill as you are ordered to. Hi Kakashi-sensei, Sakura responded. I'll be there for my team. I'll kill when I'm instructed. But there is a better way and this team is going to find it. Sakura promised herself, and when her watch came to an end she closed her eyes and went into a dreamless sleep. Break. The night passed uneventfully. In the morning they continued their journey to Nami no Kuni. Before that occurred, Kakashi had all of his genin remove their weights. Naruto complained at first, but Kakashi harshly told them it was not up for discussion. A Jonin threat will be faster than you, a fraction of a second can save your lives, take them off. The 3 genin removed their weights and Kakashi sealed them in a scroll so it wouldn't weigh him down either. Their trip was not just on foot, they also had to travel via boat. All of them had mastered the water walking exercise, but Tazuna was with them so they had to travel through conventional means. Team 7 arrived at the banks. Their journey through the water had finished without incident. Naruto suppressed his urge to be jumpy, remembering Kakashi's earlier admonishment. Kakashi kept a wary out for any possible attack. No Jonin should be underestimated. His wariness was awarded as he felt a disturbance coming from the left side. A giant blade spun horizontally, heading straight for Team 7. Kakashi yelled out, "Contact," and then dashed forward. He carefully analyzed the spin of the blade and caught the handle. Driving the momentum downward, he buried the blade into the ground. Naruto instantly performed the Kage Bunshin and Sasuke opened his Sharingan. Zabuza Momochi grunted. He had not expected Kakashi to catch Kubikiribocho. Zabuza knew going into this fight it was going to be difficult. Kakashi was one of the Leaf's most powerful shinobi. But to have caught his own damn weapons like that. Kubikiribocho was not a light blade by any means, it has shocked him. Zabuza knew he had to be extremely careful when dealing with this opponent. The missing nin was surprised to see the Jonin's team spring into action. The blonde-haired shrimp had made 30 clones and Momochi could tell that they were actual shadow clones as opposed to the regular variety. The shinobi was wearing bright kill me orange, surely he was a joke and not a threat. Once again Zabuza was surprised when the boy spoke in a calm and clear voice. Zabuza, Jonin level threat, missing nin from Kurigakure. Naruto's thoughts raced as he continued, favors close combat, one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist, skilled in the art of the silent kill. Water affinity. The boy's tone was quick and clipped, but there was no hint of nerves. Zabuza began to let his chakra flow into the air, creating a dense fog. Kakashi was on him in an instant before the mist could even come together. A kunai was aimed at his heart. Zabuza was shocked at the speed. He quickly blocked the arm that was wielding the kunai. Kakashi's Sharingan eye saw the movement and was already lashing out with a taijutsu attack. Arms blurring with speed, he overcame Zabuza's defenses easy and smashed his kunai through his chest. Zabuza dispersed into a pile of water. The real Zabuza retrieved his blade. A tide of orange clones rushed at him. Mixed in were images of Kakashi, the pink-haired one and the dark-haired boy. One swing of the blade demolished several of the clones. Much to Zabuza's annoyance, however, is that they hadn't come all at once, meaning he had another wave right after the first. The clones were a distraction, not a serious threat, but he could not afford to be distracted against an opponent of Kakashi's caliber. He is these brats' instructor, he'll want to save them and I can then get an opening. As he thought this, he had to deal with Kakashi rushing him again. The Jonin was fast, faster than he was. Zabuza swung at Kakashi and the leaf shinobi rolled underneath the attack. Momochi pressed forward, kicking out as Kakashi completed the roll, ready to strike. Kakashi instantly dodged to the right of his opponent, effectively sidestepping away and lashing out with kunai. First blood went to Kakashi as the shallow cut scraped Zabuza. Zabuza ignored the cut and pumped chakra into his feet and rushed the three genin and the bridge builder. He smashed through the Naruto clones like they weren't even there. Sasuke saw the Jonin move with speed he couldn't hope to match. His eyes did see where the attack was coming from and met it with the signature move learned from childhood. Kaden. Gokaku no Jutsu, Fire Release, Great Fireball Technique. In the same instant this was occurring, Naruto summoned a fresh batch of shadow clones. Sakura saw her crush blur through the hand signs and added the same attack, but this one aimed above Sasuke's. This would limit Zabuza's possible options. He could not leap over Sasuke's attack. The missing nin snarled at the unexpected elemental attack. Genin typically did not learn chakra manipulation so early. He leapt left avoiding the burning attack, however his forward momentum was stopped and Kakashi rushed him again. Zabuza swept Kubikiribocho in a great arc trying to force the Jonin back. Kakashi stopped in his tracks and threw the kunai at his opponent's leg at point-blank range. Zabuza twisted his body to the side awkwardly trying to avoid the blow, even so it still grazed him. A Naruto clone hit him with a flying kick while he was off balance. Zabuza was pushed forward the blow and had to hastily block Kakashi's taijutsu assault. The man forced himself in close, preventing Zabuza from effectively using the blade. Kakashi read every move Zabuza made was dominating him in the fight. Have to get to the water, he desperately thought. Zabuza had taken a blow to the ribs that made breathing slightly difficult, but he had finally put some separation between him and masked shinobi. He hastily performed the substation jutsu without hand seals. The rabbit was ignored by Kakashi, whose Sharingan I instantly knew Zabuza was no longer there. Zabuza rushed forward into the water and started to make a pair of water clones when Kakashi erupted underneath the surface of the water. As soon as his hand broke contact with the surface of the water, Kakashi gathered chakra to form the Chidori. Zabuza was baffled at how the shinobi was waiting for him and how he avoided being sensed. His bafflement didn't last long as the deadly lightning chakra slammed into him. Zabuza had already started turning when he heard the sound of disrupted water, but he was unable to match the speed against the leaf shinobi. The Chidori slammed into his side, smashing up through his rib cage and turning his heart to pulp. Kakashi had swapped with his clone after his initial clash with Zabuza. The water affinity would mean that the demon in the mist would want to retreat to the water if he felt threatened. While it had been risky to depend on just alone to pose a challenge, it has been a calculated one. Zabuza was a dangerous shinobi, but even without the Sharingan, Kakashi was confident he could win the fight. With the Sharingan, even his clone could hold his own and pose a threat. If a Naruto clone can start emitting chakra tails, then I see no reason why a clone can't also use the Sharingan. Team 7 was startled when another voice cried out. A shinobi in the clothing and mask of a hunter nin burst from hiding, shouting, "Zabuza!" A Naruto clone shouted out, "Unknown shinobi, garbed as Kurigakure hunter nin." Naruto had used a clone to do it. Kakashi had given him that tip. If the clones were already out, have one of them say it instead of the original, since opponents would assume the original was speaking. Kakashi was surprised he had not sensed the additional shinobi in the area. Whoever it was had to be skilled in stealth and was therefore dangerous. The masked shinobi raced towards Zabuza. Kakashi created a water clone to intercept the shinobi. While the shinobi was dressed like a hunter nin, the reaction to Zabuza's death was out of character. Naruto's clones followed his lead and swarmed the newcomer. Haku responded with Senbon needles thrown with deadly force. His world had just been shattered. He had failed Zabuza and had nothing left to live for. Death in battle would end his worthless existence. He didn't even try to use his Kekkei Genkei. Haku wanted to die and Kakashi was taking no chances. The outcome was inevitable. In the first clash, Kakashi rammed his kunai through Zabuza's apprentice's skull. Haku had felt nothing more than a sharp pain before the kunai ended his short life. Kakashi peered out with his Sharingan looking to see if any more surprises were waiting to jump out. Seeing none, all of Team 7 searched the bodies and discussed what happened. Naruto asked his sensei, "I don't get it, who was she?" The older shinobi corrected his pupil, "Actually it's a he." Naruto did a double take. "What? Remember to see underneath the surface, Naruto. Until you can reliably see underneath, you cannot even begin to see underneath the underneath as a proper shinobi should." Kakashi continued, "As for why, that is difficult to say. I would guess that Zabuza was important to this shinobi, based on age, possible an apprentice or sibling, though no siblings are listed in the bingo books. Based on the disguise, I assume that if Zabuza got into trouble, this one would come and try to save him. Because my attack killed Zabuza too quickly, that didn't happen." Sasuke turned off his Sharingan. This was his first taste of a true shinobi battle. The killer intent had been massive, but having suffered through Kakashi's training as well as the fake assassination attempt by the Iwa Nin, he had held up well. With his Sharingan he had been able to follow the swordsman every step of the way. He knew his body would not have been able to keep up, so that was a humbling experience. However, he knew with the training he was receiving he would one day move at that level. Sakura was happy she had fulfilled her promise. It was partly due to her attack that Zabuza had to move the way he did. As she analyzed the battle, she realized that even without her attack the outcome would still have been the same. It did allow the battle to end more quickly. As her sensei had repeated over and over, a shinobi was dangerous until he was dead. Naruto had mixed feelings. He had fulfilled his role in the team by calling out the information on their opponents. His clones had been instrumental in distracting Zabuza. He had performed exactly the way his sensei had wanted him to. But he had not been satisfied. Naruto still had energy to burn, all he had done was make clones. Naruto had wanted to actually fight, to swing a punch or hit the enemy with a kick. It seemed vaguely cowardly to fight the way he had. Kakashi was a master at reading people, even without his Sharingan active. "Naruto, you and the rest of the team were excellent, what is the matter?" Naruto squinted. "I guess this isn't the way I imagined fighting the enemy." "Good. Being a shinobi isn't about honor or bravery, it is about victory. You serve the village and not yourself or your idealized version of what it means to be ninja." Kakashi gave him an eye smile, "And you won't become Hokage if you die while still a genin." Naruto perked up at the words, "Hi sensei. See Sakura. Kakashi thinks I can be Hokage." Sakura rolled her eyes. "You've gotten better, but you still have a long way to go." Naruto acknowledged her words. "You're right, but I'll make it there one day. Believe it." Kakashi walked over to the body of Zabuza and cut off his head. "And as an added bonus, we'll be able to collect the bounty for a rank A missing in Nin." Naruto blinked. He knew all the bounties in the bingo books. He was going to be rich. Sakura asked, "You did most of the work, sensei. How are we going to split it?" Kakashi looked at his team. "We split it evenly. We are a team. Though, I do expect you to use at least some of the bounty on items useful to your career as a shinobi." Two Naruto clones carried Kubikiribocho and walked with the rest of the team and Tazuna. The team was much more cheerful after hearing about the bounty. Tazuna also felt less guilty about the whole affair, since at least the team would be compensated appropriately. He hoped there would be no more attacks before the bridge was complete. Tazuna led Team 7 to his home. Kakashi's team met with Tazuna's family and learned of the sad fate of Kaiza, the hero that was executed by Gado's thugs. Naruto was enraged by the unfairness of the action. Sakura was also saddened by the story. When Inari stated that it was hopeless, that no one could defeat Gado, it was Sasuke who shook his head. "You are wrong. Gado is weak, he isn't even a shinobi. We defeated his hired shinobi on 2 occasions, if he messes with us he's dead." Inari stormed off in tears, not believing a word of it. Naruto looked to his sensei. "What is going to happen after we leave?" Kakashi preferred brutal honesty than sugared words. Gato will either destroy the bridge or position thugs at one end of it to collect a toll. Tazuna stood up. Gato will try, but once the bridge is built they will see that we can stand up to Gato. They will fight him and his hired thugs. Doubtful, Kakashi mildly responded. Tazuna quivered with rage. He had poured his heart and soul to building the great bridge. Many had thought he was a fool for doing so, but he would succeed and no outsider shinobi was going to say otherwise. Sakura stepped in. Sensei, we have to help these people. Kakashi looked at her. Our job is to protect the bridge builder, not assassinate business tycoons. Tazuna stared at the Jonin. His anger would do him no good. He collapsed into his chair and held his head in his hands. Please, get rid of Gato for us. Kakashi ignored the impassioned plea. That wasn't the mission you hired our village for. I'll add it to the mission. The Sharingan wielder shrugged. That would need to be approved by the Hokage's office, and considering the financial state of the village I doubt you would be able to gather the necessary funds. Naruto was furious. So what? Gato needs to be taken out. The older shinobi looked at Naruto. Does he now? Gato is no threat to Konoha, there is no reason to take him out. Sakura was moved by the village's plight and saw a way she could convince her sensei. Kakashi-sensei, Gato is a threat to the mission. He will probably hire more shinobi. We don't know if any other missing nin are nearby. If we take him out now it will cause our mission to be more likely to succeed. Naruto looked at his crush with his eyes shining. Sakura is so smart, he thought to himself. Sasuke was mildly impressed and his respect for the pink-haired kunoichi went up a notch. Kakashi gave his cute genin an eye smile. I didn't think you had learned your lesson so well, Sakura. Sakura felt a chill pass through her. Just the other day she was vowing to find another way than killing, and here she was urging the assassination of someone. She shook her head. There should be a better way. But you were right. We do live in a flawed world. And taking out Gato will make it better place. I want to do it, the team wants to do it, and it will increase the chances of our mission being success. Kakashi looked at his team. Are all of you in agreement? They all indicated their agreement. He turned to the bridge builder. We'll kill Gato for you, Tazuna, but in exchange when your land is back on its feet you'll give Konoha favored trade status. Tazuna nearly had tears in his eyes and he expressed his gratitude to the shinobi present. Tazuna didn't have any official position, but as the person who would build the bridge that connected the land and brought back prosperity he would be able to get it accomplished. While the land of waves was poor currently, it could become an important if still minor trading partner with Konoha. Now is the time to act. Right now Gato will have no one but thugs and maybe some disgraced samurai. With that being the only threat, I will let the three of you plan and carry out the operation. While surprised, the three genin were confident they could handle it. I will tag along in case this Gato fellow has another ranked shinobi with him. Your mission parameters are to ensure Gato dies tonight. The method is up to you. What you do with Gato's men is up to you. I will be observing, however I will cease helping beginning now. Team 7 looked at each other and Naruto spoke up first. Sakura-chan, maybe you should come up with the plan. You're really smart and I bet you could make the best plan. Sakura enjoyed being complimented even if it was from Naruto. Even before she joined the team it was nice to know that someone found her pretty and wanted to date her. Now that she had seen his work ethic and abilities she valued his opinion even more. If only Sasuke-kun thought of me that way. Sakura looked to Sasuke who simply inclined his head. Sakura began by finding out what they wanted to do. Should we try to avoid killing his mercenaries? Sasuke didn't care one way or the other and remained silent. Naruto looked up at Kakashi before looking back at Sakura. I don't think we need to kill them. Maybe just scare them a bit. Sakura liked the answer. She didn't want to kill anyone, she didn't have to. I guess the next question is who should be the one to do it. Sasuke volunteered. I'll do it. For once Naruto decided not to compete with his rival. Sakura was relieved she wouldn't be the one to do it. Even if Gato deserved death, even if it had to be done, she didn't want to be the one to do it. She knew Kakashi would find her weak for thinking this, but he had left them in charge and this is what the team had decided. Sakura formulated a plan. Gato may not know Zabuza is dead. Sasuke can henge as Zabuza and I can henge as his apprentice and we can go in as if we were going to report what happened. Naruto can make clones of people in the area and be ready to jump in if something is dangerous. Naruto wanted to be closer to the action but he didn't want to undercut Sakura's plan. HNN, it will do. We should go now, the longer we wait to report the more suspicious it will be. Sasuke's suggestion was practical and they were in agreement. With the plan formed, Sakura looked to the older Leaf Nin for confirmation. Kakashi just shrugged his shoulders. He had said he wouldn't provide guidance and wouldn't interfere unless another high-ranked shinobi appeared. Sakura swallowed thickly and put on her disguise while Sasuke did the same. Naruto watched his two teammates head over to Gato's base of operations. He had 20 clones positioned around the area looking like civilians. He saw his teammates exchange words with some of the mercenaries guarding the front door. Whatever they said was enough to let them in. Naruto desperately wanted to know what was going on inside but kept his cool and observed. Getting in had been easy for the two genin. Meeting Gato had been even easier. Gato had several mercenaries in the room, include two guards who looked like they knew how to handle a blade. What am I paying you for? That bridge builder is still alive. I thought you were supposed to be the demon in the mist, can't you do anything right? Sasuke smirked and activated his Sharingan. Without his weights he felt as light as a feather. His charge was noticed by the two guards who hastily tried to draw their blades in time to defend their master. Sasuke easily sped past them and jammed his kunai into Gato's chest. Pandemonium ensued. The two guards yelled out in rage and slashed at the Uchiha. Sasuke was disdainful at the slow telegraphed attacks. Maybe these two could bully civilians but not a trained shinobi. With his Sharingan it was even easier as he sidestepped the blows. Sasuke knife-palmed one in the throat and doubled over the other with a spinning heel kick. His elbow smashed into the back of the man's neck with brutal force, taking him down. Sakura jumped to the side and began using a genjutsu on the remaining opponents. Sakura used the jutsu Kakashi had taught her. Megan. Narakumi no Jutsu, demonic illusion, hell viewing technique. Of course, unlike other jutsu, she didn't shout out the name of the attack since it would have diminished its effectiveness. Sakura didn't know what the other mercenaries saw, but evidently her jutsu was powerful enough to send them fleeing for their lives. Naruto saw the men fleeing with fright. He and his clones bum-rushed Gato's base to find both Sakura and Sasuke just fine. You had me worried, they were terrified. Sakura smiled, it was just a simple genjutsu, and almost any shinobi could have detected it. Sasuke retrieved his kunai from Gato's still warm body and walked out. Team 7 went back to Tazuna and informed them of their success. Tazuna was amazed at how quickly it had occurred. They had left less than an hour ago. Tazuna didn't know about shinobi. He didn't know that even academy students could kill a grown man easily. Gato was cheap and so his hired help weren't skilled samurai who could hold their own with shinobi. Instead, Gato favored cheap brutes who could intimidate his victims. He would hire missing nin and then turn on them when they were wounded or careless. If things ever went sour, he just threw money at the problem. Incredibly impressed with the results, he told them they were more than welcome to stay at his home while the bridge was completed. They thanked the bridge builder and turned to Kakashi. Kakashi scratched his chin while the genin awaited his judgment of their plan and its execution. Not bad, not great, but not bad. It was faint praise from their sensei. Sakura asked, what was wrong with it? Against Gato and cheap thugs? Nothing really. Any plan would have worked. You used a basic jutsu to hide your appearance so you could get close and eliminate him. The direct approach worked in this case and minimized his chance to flee. Then what did we do wrong? Naruto angrily remarked. You didn't anticipate any problems. You were arrogant. If he did have a shinobi hidden as a mercenary, you wouldn't have known. Your approach was pure brute force. Sakura asked, how would you have done it? Kakashi answered, There were plenty of ways to do it. There is no one right way, but there are ways to minimize risk. Kakashi explained further. For example, Naruto could have used clones to henge his Zabuza and his accomplice and do the same thing you two did. If there was unexpected shinobi resistance, no one would be in danger of dying. Another option would have been to ambush Gato when he left his base. In that scenario, it would be easier for you to retreat if necessary. All three genin could see the value of what Kakashi was teaching them. While the outcome was never in doubt, it would be a good idea to minimize risk whenever possible. Kakashi had told them in an earlier lesson that success on 99 missions didn't mean you wouldn't die on the 100th. Always minimize the odds of failure and death by approaching every mission with caution. Ego and arrogance led to death. Naruto still had issues with how cowardly it felt to be thinking about minimizing his risk in every way possible. Kakashi had a sixth sense for picking out such thoughts. Naruto, we've had this discussion before. You owe it yourself, Konoha, and most importantly your team to avoid dying. I am not asking you to be a coward. If a teammate is in danger, I expect you to put your life on the line to save them. But don't take unnecessary chances. What if you took an unnecessary chance and your teammate rightly tried to save you? And then they become injured or even kill because of your arrogance. Hi Kakashi-sensei, Naruto replied. Naruto still didn't like it, but he would treat it like eating vegetables. A necessary evil, but one that would ensure he could best protect his team and one day become Hokage so he could protect the entire village. Kakashi had his team turn in for the night. He still had them set up watches. It was good practice for his team and it never hurt to be cautious. Before they did so, he returned the weights to his team. All three of them eagerly put them on. All of them had already improved their strength and stamina through the use of the weights and wanted to continue to get stronger. Break. The next morning they ate a delicious breakfast. The townsfolk greeted them eagerly. They were treated as heroes. They had ended the reign of Gato. Gato's thugs had fled the town that night. Not all of them knew what happened. Some claimed a monster had been unleashed. Others claimed that shinobi had ripped people apart with their bare hands. Genjutsu meant that the stories were even more outlandish than what had actually happened. At the bridge there was no shortage of volunteers to help. Kakashi also had Naruto make dozens of clones to help move supplies and materials. With the additional help and the clones, Tazuna would be able to get the bridge finished ahead of schedule. Kakashi continued to train his team while the bridge was constructed. His training was focused almost exclusively on taijutsu and team tactics. Sasuke was the undisputed champion in the sparring within the squad. His Sharingan allowed him to read moves through the tiny changes in muscles as someone prepared an attack. With the weights on, both he and Naruto were at similar speeds. In addition to the Sharingan, Sasuke's taijutsu was simply superior to Naruto's. However, Naruto had more weight on than Sasuke. A fact that irked the Uchiha. How was the dead last able to surpass him? He had demanded Kakashi up the weights and Kakashi refused. And don't even think about doing it yourself, you'll increase the chance of sprains and fractures by moving too quickly. If you exhaust your muscles, you'll do more harm than good. Then how is he able to take all the extra weight? Kakashi gave him an eye smile. That's a great question, Sasuke. Naruto is able to heal faster than others. The reason for that is a secret. One that I am going to encourage Naruto to share. Unfortunately, it is not a technique that can be copied. Sasuke's brain worked to solve what the secret was. He asked his sensei, is it a Kekkei Genkai like the Sharingan? It was a reasonable guess. It would explain the greater healing ability and the need for keeping it a secret. Kakashi merely smiled beneath the mask and responded, I've said all that I plan to on this, Sasuke. Sasuke wasn't happy, but if it was a Kekkei Genkai then it didn't matter. It just meant he would have to work harder. He couldn't afford to let the class Dobi surpass him. Sasuke was glad that Naruto wasn't weak. He would be someone he could measure himself against. And as Kakashi had pointed out early in their training, having a strong team could only work to his benefit. Naruto was better than Sakura in their spars. However, Sakura becoming incredibly adept at avoiding blows. Facing the quick and brutally efficient Sasuke had taught her how to minimize her movements. Her blocks were precise and close to her body. If the attack was too strong, she smoothly glided away. Without the weights, Naruto could have finished her quickly, but with them it was next to impossible to pin her down and win the bout. The only reason he would end up winning is when Sakura finally became too winded to move as fast as she could. Within the week the bridge was complete and Tazuna thanked Kakashi and his team. Even Inari was smiling again. His grandpa was safe and the man who had murdered his surrogate father was killed. The strong killed the weak, that was life, but his amazing granddad had found people stronger than Gato and his money. With a final wave, Team 7 began their return trip home. The 4 shinobi of Konoha returned to their village quickly and without incident. Naruto couldn't wait to get the best ramen in town. As he was about to dash off, Kakashi reminded him they had to report back at the Hokage tower first. Ah, but ramen. Kakashi's one visible eye twitched violently. Every time he thought he was making progress. The 3 reported directly to the Hokage. Sarutobi had a pipe in his mouth as he saw Team 7 enter to make their report. The first report had led to the mission being upgraded to a rank B mission. The second report after the battle that led to the death of Zabuza turned it into an A-ranked mission. Hiruzen had great confidence in Kakashi's abilities, but really this was a bit much for a young genin team's first mission. Kakashi made his report efficiently and effectively. The Hokage's eyebrows shot up at having the genin kill so quickly. He had wanted them to retain their innocence a little longer. He shook himself out of his thoughts as the elite Jonin continued the debrief. When Kakashi finished, the 3rd Hokage smiled at the 4 shinobi. You've exceeded my expectations, well done. Kakashi took the praise in stride while his genin team basked in it. Kakashi could tell even Sasuke was affected by the words, though he hid it well. Naruto's smile was an ear-to-ear grin. Sakura was more demure, but she positively glowed at the praise from the village's legendary leader. The Hokage dismissed everyone but Kakashi. Naruto invited the other 2 for ramen. Sasuke shrugged and agreed. Kakashi would expect him to be part of the team. With Sasuke going, it made Sakura's choice a foregone conclusion. All 3 of the genin headed to Ramen Ichiraku. Hiruzen looked at Kakashi. I understand you don't want it in writing that Sasuke has unlocked the Sharingan. Hi, if no one knows Sasuke has developed the Sharingan, he will be better protected. A live Sharingan can make him a target. Furthermore, it always helps for a shinobi to be underestimated. The Hokage chewed on his pipe in thought. I'll keep it out of the written reports. I understand caution, but only a few people have access to the reports. Sometimes your wariness is more like paranoia, Kakashi-san. The masked Jonin looked at the Hokage and replied with simple logic, if I take precautions that aren't needed, it is a minor inconvenience. But if I take precautions when it is needed, it could make all the difference. Any edge, no matter how small, that will help them survive, I will give them. He couldn't find fault with the argument, so he agreed to do as his Jonin asked. The written copies of the report were different than what had been orally communicated. Most everything was the same, but the Sharingan was absent completely, as was any mention of the genin helping Kakashi deal with Zabuza. With a bow, Kakashi left Sarutobi alone with his thoughts. Kakashi took the pay for the mission and also turned in the sealing scroll that had Zabuza's head. Zabuza's blade was also given up, but instead of using it as part of the bounty, it would go to the care of Konoha, where it would find a worthy wielder. Kakashi would split the money with his team in the next morning. For now, it was time to see if the latest Ika had arrived while he was gone. Asterisk 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 break asterisk asterisk asterisk. Naruto was ecstatic. Not only was he finally getting his favorite food at Ramen Ichiraku, but both of his teammates would be with him. Naruto introduced them to Tsuki and his daughter Ayame. Sasuke said little while Sakura introduced herself properly. Soon they were all eating delicious ramen. While neither was as enthusiastic as Naruto, it was tasty and they enjoyed it. After completing the ramen, they went their separate ways. Naruto returned to his home. Since placing a few traps, the home had not been vandalized. The fact that he was a shinobi now meant that he could legally assault someone for breaking into his residence. Naruto made a dozen clones that began reading books. Naruto considered what he would like to with the money he would soon be receiving as his share of the bounty and the A-rank mission. His come use new furniture, but Naruto honestly didn't care about that. He wanted to get stronger. He wanted to purchase something that would enhance his skills. Kakashi had told him about chakra blades, that would be very expensive but extremely useful for a wind affinity like himself. Naruto also thought about getting alternative weaponry. Most shinobi favored small weaponry that allowed for easy carrying and stowing so that hand signs could be used at a moment's notice. He did like the thought of wielding a katana or a staff. From reading historical battles, he knew his Jiji used a staff in battle that he summoned. Naruto decided to go shopping at a weapons store and see what might be effective for him. He left his clones to continue their reading while he used his henge to look like a nondescript teenage shinobi. That done, he went into town, avoiding all of the glares and hate he had been subjected to for most of his life. The young genin was still kicking himself for not thinking of this plan prior to Kakashi telling him. Naruto found himself browsing a weapon shop. Like a kid in a candy store, Naruto drooled over the potential additions to his shinobi arsenal. The shopkeeper allowed him to handle the various weapons and Naruto tried a few moves with each of them. Laughter interrupted once one of his practice strikes. He turned and found a young kunoichi shaking her head. "You are holding that katana all wrong." Naruto flushed, thankful the henge hid his embarrassment. "I never trained with any weapons other than the academy standard ones," he defended himself. Naruto recognized the girl. She was a fellow genin a year ahead of his graduating class. Her name was Tenten and she had a reputation for knowing her way around weapons. Naruto's clones had learned a lot just observing the village, and this was one of the little facts that came to mind. Tenten showed Naruto the proper way to hold the blade. Naruto had an idea. "Hey Tenten, how about you some weapons and help me pick out something that will be useful for me?" Tenten looked at the shinobi she had never seen until now and asked, I have my own training to do, plus you haven't even introduced yourself. Who are you?" Quote. Naruto considered lying, but he suspected the keen-eyed kunoichi would be able to detect the henge and any falsehood. Instead he leaned in close. "I'm Naruto, part of Team 7. A lot of the shop owners don't like me, so I use a henge." Tenten was surprised that Naruto was in disguise. Naruto had been held back, so for a brief time he had actually been in Tenten's class. A subtle Naruto instead of a bright orange overly excitable Naruto sparked her curiosity. Tenten said, "All right, let's do this. I'll show you a variety of weapons for a couple of hours and you tell me what you've been up to these days." Naruto laughed. "All right. Let's head the practice field right now." Both of them left the shop and proceeded to the nearest training field. Along the way, Naruto regaled Tenten with how awesome it was to be a shinobi. About how they went on their first mission outside of the village and how it had turned into a Ranka mission. Naruto did manage to hold back anything related to his and his teammates' training. While Tenten was clearly a fellow Leaf Shinobi, Kakashi had warned him about sharing news about his abilities. Spies existed in the shinobi world and one never knew who was listening. Tenten didn't ask about that anyhow. Instead she was fascinated by Zabuza's weapon, Kubikiribocho. Naruto didn't know why she was so obsessed with it, but he answered all of the questions she had. He didn't really know much about the weapon. Kakashi had been the one to do nearly all of the battle in that conflict. When they arrived at the practice field, Tenten showed the Jinchuriki all types of weapons. Naruto was in awe at the arsenal she pulled out. Several of the weapons were not practical in his mind, but she wielded them with a grace that was astounding. Tenten had him test out several of the weapons and adjusted his forms and grip as needed. "Are you a close-range fighter or do you prefer to stay in the back?" That was an interesting question. The immediate answer was a ranged fighter due to Kakashi's lessons. But Naruto had been working on looking underneath the surface. While Kakashi would want his team to stay back and minimize their risk, he expected Naruto to use his clones in close combat. Any weapon skill he learned could be transferable to his clones. Naruto answered her, I'm in between, I don't mind getting in close though. Tenten frowned at the non-answer but then shrugged. In that case let's set you up with what you had in the store, a katana. It's straightforward but allows for a longer reach than a kunai but still allows combat in close quarters. They spent the last 30 minutes going through weapon drills. Naruto thanked Tenten profusely and declared, with this extra training I'll have all I need to be the next Hokage. Tenten rolled her eyes but accepted the thanks with good grace. Naruto asked her if she knew any good books or scroll techniques he could pick up for using a katana. She named a book he could pick up that showed the basic stances and a generic fighting style. Anything too far advanced is typically held secret by families or clans. Don't let that stop you though. Come up with your own style and your opponent will be in trouble because they won't have ever seen it before. Naruto again thanked her and returned to the shop to purchase a pair of katanas. Having backup equipment was another rule that his sensei had drilled into him. At the shop he also requested the chakra blades. Chakra blades were made of material that absorbed chakra and were rare. The store didn't have them but if Naruto paid for them up front he would order a pair of kunai made of the chakra absorbent material. Naruto would have to come back the next day to put in the order as Kakashi hadn't split the proceeds from the bounty yet. Naruto returned home excited about showing off his new weapon to the team tomorrow. Break Sakura had enjoyed the meal with the team. She loved her Sasuke-kun and Naruto wasn't nearly as annoying as he used to be. The team was starting to feel like a family and she wanted to do all she could to protect it. It was time to make a decision. Genjutsu or training in medical jutsu. Sakura made her decision based on what had happened in the battles they had been in. Death was swift. Death was often instantaneous. Haku died to a kunai to the brain. Zabuza died due to his heart being obliterated by Kakashi's Chidori. No medical jutsu could fix that. Threats to the team could be fatal before she even got a chance to heal. But what if she could prevent an attack from landing in the first place? What if she could use her superior chakra control to ensure her teammates didn't even get hit? With these thoughts in mind she chose her specialty. It would be in Genjutsu. Genjutsu was a rare art in Konoha. The primary users had been the Uchiha clan through the use of their dojutsu. That path required the Sharingan, a clear dead end. The most famous Genjutsu user currently in the village was Kurenai Yu. The problem was that she had her own Genin team, and Jonin instructors should put all of their efforts on improving their own team. That went double for the first year as a Jonin. Kakashi would absolutely train her but she knew that was not his specialty. Kakashi was a master at ninjutsu and an absolute terror with taijutsu but his genjutsu was limited. Sakura would need someone else to help supplement her training in this if she was to develop it to the point where it could actually fool dangerous opponents. Sakura decided to put her ear to the ground and see if she could find a Jonin who was skilled with genjutsu who could tutor her a couple of times a week. Between that and the training Kakashi would give her she should be able to make significant progress. Her share of the bounty would be used to pay for the lessons. Sakura felt a burst of energy inside of her. She had confidence in her choice. She was not going to be a liability to her team. Break. Team 7 met up again the next day. As was typical, they quickly and efficiently completed a D-ranked mission and then turned to training. Kakashi talked to them about what they would want to tackle next on their training agenda. Kakashi was approving of Sakura's choice to specialize in genjutsu. He told her to continue working to improve her taijutsu and conditioning with weights. On that subject he had purchased a new set of weights for all of them. These weights at first were incredibly light until they pushed chakra into them. These seals are designed to be only accessed by yourselves. Only increase the weight when I advise you to, but in a fight you can quickly release the excess weight. Additional when we travel too much weight and you'll snap tree limbs as you leap from branch to branch. All three of the genin also had their weights increased. Kakashi created a pair of clones so he could have some one-on-one time with each of his students. The original went with Sasuke. He was going to teach the last Uchiha the original move he had created. The Chidori. Sasuke had seen it in action and knew it was a fantastic kill move. It would burst through most defensive barriers, especially earth, which was often used for defense. Kakashi cautioned Sasuke on the use of it. Never use this on a comrade or a leaf shinobi. This jutsu should only be used on the enemies of Konoha. Sasuke promised to obey this command. Sasuke also learned his chakra reserve would only allow him to use it 2 times before being exhausted. With constant training, you should be able to increase the number of times you can use this jutsu to 3 fairly quickly. With the aid of the Sharingan, it was easy for Sasuke to pick up the jutsu, and by the end of the day he had successfully performed the jutsu and slammed it into the earth, leaving a crater. Excellent work. Now on to your taijutsu training. Sasuke pushed his groaning muscles the limit with the new chakra weights. He was still able to maintain the perfection that Kakashi required in taijutsu forms. He was determined not to fall behind Naruto with weights and speed. With Sakura, he taught her some more basic genjutsu applications. Most genjutsu operated on sight, but a few operated on auditory senses. The auditory ones were extraordinarily rare but very effective, since it meant the victim could be affected before even laying sight on the caster. I don't have any auditory genjutsu in my repertoire. It will be a long shot if your tutor has one either. Sight genjutsu is still amazingly powerful. Remember, on this team you don't necessarily need to isolate and control an individual for a significant length of time. As soon as the genjutsu has them, one of us should move to eliminate the threat instantly. The clone with Naruto observed him use the katana. Naruto explained his reasoning as well as Kakashi looked on. I need to get good with this so my clones can use it well. I'll still keep my hands free for using jutsu. Kakashi praised Naruto for the plan. Good thinking, Naruto. I'm glad you thought ahead of this. I'm also glad you are putting in the order for the chakra blades. With your wind affinity, those chakra kunai will be devastating. Kakashi also taught Naruto a new jutsu. You are already familiar with Futon. Daitapa, wind release. Great breakthrough. I am going to show you a modification of this technique. Naruto jumped in the air with excitement. A new jutsu. The clone's visible eye twitched. He doubted he would ever get used to Naruto's un-shinobi-like behavior. He also doubted he could break him of the habit without breaking the boy completely down. Kakashi clapped his palms together. Futon. Repusho, wind release. Gale palm, a burst of wind pushed out from around Kakashi in all directions. Naruto was shoved backward a dozen feet but landed agilely. This attack, unlike Daitapa, has a 360-degree arc. Using this will allow you to stop projectiles from all directions. You can also use it as a surprise in close quarters, but it doesn't have the destructive potential of Daitapa. Naruto eagerly made a score of clones and began practicing. As always, Kakashi was amazed at the sheer level of chakra Naruto had. Most shinobi, including himself, had to be cautious of using too much ninjutsu. Naruto had just left the academy and had chakra reserves that surpassed most jonin. While he'd started at pathetically abysmal levels, it had grown much better. The shadow clone technique had got Naruto's chakra control to appropriate levels in a fraction of the time it would otherwise have taken. Overall, Kakashi was very pleased with the progress of Team 7. He didn't want to interrupt their training too much by tackling missions away from the village. However, he did want them to have more exposure to real shinobi missions. For the next 2 days he would train them hard, and he would scan the mission list for anything that was relatively close by that was a C or B rank. Normally no genin would be going on B rankings, but he knew he could convince the old man that his team could handle it. In all honesty, any B rank would be a piece of cake for Kakashi to solo. His mission success rate on missions was quite nearly flawless. Regardless of rank, the important part of the mission was that it be close to Konoha. It was difficult to train at the level he demanded his team to train at on the road. As was typical, Kakashi completed his own training after Team 7 split. Kakashi practiced what he preached. He would place his own chakra weights and continue to hone his own body. He also liked to experiment with jutsu combinations and find new uses for them. After 3 hours of training, he cooled down and drifted on to rest. Kakashi felt good about his team's progress and eagerly looked forward to see how his 3 genin would develop. The next few days were marked by rigorous training. Naruto and Sasuke threw themselves into their training routine with a vigor that surprised even Kakashi. Both of them had felt that the mission to the Land of Waves had slowed down their training because they couldn't push themselves to exhaustion every day. With the weights on, they would run miles, do hundreds of push-ups, crunches, and exhausting calisthenics. Their jutsu training wasn't slacking off either. Sasuke had the Chidori down perfectly, and Naruto had mastered the futon, repusho, wind release, gale palm. Naruto could summon the chakra and race through the hand seals in under a second. Even blunt kunai that Kakashi threw at him at combat speed could be countered with the jutsu. Sakura continued her conditioning but wasn't as crazed as the two boys were. Instead, her focus was on genjutsu. She drank up the additional training Kakashi had provided, and she was close to pulling off the Magen, Kokoni Arazu no Jutsu, demonic illusion, false surroundings technique. The C-ranked jutsu was rarely used in combat but was often used as part of the security around a shinobi camp while they traveled. Kakashi had used the jutsu while the team had traveled to and from the Land of Waves as an extra security precaution. Kakashi had pored over potential missions that were near Konoha. One particular one caught his eye. There was a rank C mission that had a group of bandits that had made their base only 2 days out from Konoha. What made the mission interesting was that the bandits had operated there for some time but only recently had become bold and actually attacking heavily armed caravans. The only reason it was listed as a rank C mission was because no shinobi had been identified as part of the band. The Jonin knew that something had to explain the bandits' new aggression. By scanning the other missions, he gave it a high probability that a missing nin had joined the band. This missing nin wasn't foolish enough to use jutsu in combat and draw attention to himself. Kakashi reviewed the list of missing nin that had recently left their villages and identified a likely candidate. A Chunin-level shinobi from Takigakure, Hidden Waterfall Village, was the most likely candidate. According to the most recent bingo book, he was a skilled Chunin possessing higher than average tactical talent. Tominori did not have any documented elemental affinities or skill with ninjutsu. He was, however, quite skilled in taijutsu and kenjutsu. Takigakure had a mission listed as AB rank, the return of Tominori alive. Bringing him alive would be worth 3 times the paltry bounty that was currently listed for him. Interesting, could be several reasons for this, ranging from a relative in a position of power or he has information that someone in Takigakure needs. Team 7's goal would be to make the capture and wipe out the bandits, completing a rank B and C mission at the same time. Kakashi didn't particularly care about the additional income, but it would prove a solid lesson on being aware of what was happening. A simple C-rank mission had led to Zabuza, and now another C-rank mission would lead to Tominori, who was no Zabuza but would be much more dangerous than bandits. Kakashi informed his team of the mission, both parts of it. Officially they were only going on a C-ranked mission, however Kakashi's instincts told him he would find the missing Chunin with the bandits. He explained the reasoning to his team and they looked excited. Even Sakura was eager to get out there. The fact that they were to bring the Chunin back alive was even better in her mind. Bright and early the next morning, Team 7 was ready to go. They removed the chakra seals on their weights. Kakashi meant for them to travel light and fast. After leaving sight of Konoha, they began racing through the trees. As was typical, Naruto's clones surrounded their formation, giving the team an added layer of security as they traveled at near top speed. The plan was to push as far as they could on the first day, allowing them to hit the bandits on the evening of the second day. Finding the bandits would be very simple. That many people made tracks in an area that everyone but Naruto would be able to locate. And even Naruto, who had missed that lesson in the academy, could just flood the area with clones until the bandits were found. That night Sakura helped with the camp's protections. She used Magen, Kokoni Arazu no Jutsu, demonic illusion, false surroundings technique, to hide their presence. Kakashi gave her a nod of approval. Very impressive, Sakura. You captured all of the details perfectly. Most Chunin don't make their genjutsu techniques that flawless. Kakashi of course was thinking of the Chunin exam trick on the wrong floor to weed out genin who weren't ready. That genjutsu was not nearly as detailed as the one Sakura had just completed. Sakura beamed at the compliment, proud that she was useful to her team. It was even nicer that Sasuke-kun was in earshot when Kakashi had recognized her. The night passed without incident, and with Team 7's speed they were able to get to the bandit-infested area by noon. Kakashi was the first to spot the tracks of a large group and he had his team follow. Soon enough they spotted the bandits camped in the distance. Based on the number of tents, the band numbered about 70 to 80 criminals. Kakashi told Sasuke to use his Sharingan to see if he could spot their quarry. Sasuke took a careful look and then whispered to the team, "I didn't spot him, but one of the tents has a genjutsu over it. I'm betting that's where Tominori is." "All right, Sasuke, you know the mission parameters. Kill or capture the majority of the bandits and capture the waterfall missing nin alive. You make the plan and we will execute." Sasuke didn't see this mission as too difficult, however he knew Kakashi would be testing him. Sasuke would have loved to test himself against Tominori, but that wasn't how Kakashi liked to do things. He wanted the mission completed with minimal risk. "Here is the plan. Kakashi, you have the best stealth abilities. You'll sneak a clone into the camp and wait for us to make our move. Naruto, you'll flood the area with about 50 clones. Make sure they stay far enough away not to draw attention. In 10 we'll let the clones charge out. Then the four of us will advance and eliminate any pockets of strong resistance." Kakashi gave Sasuke an eye smile. The plan was exactly what he wanted Sasuke to do. He was under no illusions that this was Sasuke's preferred way of doing things, but he would settle for his acquiescence. Naruto made the required number of clones and they began to fan out. As of yet the bandit camp had not been alerted of the imminent attack. The Kakashi clone easily slipped into the camp and waited by the tent with the genjutsu on it. The attack began with a tide of orange katana wielding Narutos screaming their heads off. The bandits were shocked but quickly drew weapons. Blades, spears and a few bows were their primary weapons. Bandits were often made up of failed genin. Some were dropouts from the academy. Others were disgraced samurai or just village toughs. The failed genin were perhaps the most dangerous, but disgraced samurai, depending on their skill with the blade, could also pose a challenge. It became immediately clear to Team 7, however, that the majority were trash. Most of the bandits never even got a blow in. The Naruto clones had almost as much speed and skill as the original. And despite being new to the blade, he was simply faster than his opponents. A perfectly executed cross-cut could be dodged before the blade even came close. The counter-attack by the Naruto clone would either be a fatal stab, slice, or a non-fatal bludgeoning with the hilt to the head. There were, however, a few isolated areas of resistance. One area had a samurai who wielded his blade with enough skill and speed to dissipate a clone. Naruto pointed him out and Team 7 literally blew him away with their jutsu combination. Sasuke and Naruto's wind-fire combo actually popped a half dozen more clones but ended the samurai's disgraced existence in a fiery explosion. Meanwhile, the Kakashi clone saw its prey exit the tent. The clone sprung out at top speed. To Tominori's credit, he actually blocked the first attack with a hasty draw of his blade. He instantly used the substitution jutsu to get away, but the Sharingan saw it all. Kakashi instantly used the body flicker technique to stay right on top of the Chunin. Tominori slashed with impressive speed and strength, but it was to no avail. The attack was parried with a kunai and then Kakashi was on him. He grasped the waterfall nin's neck and applied pressure to the carotid artery. Tominori knew he only had moments before he lost consciousness. His struggles were in vain and soon he collapsed unconscious. The rest of the bandits broke and fled, scattering in all directions. They ran headlong into the Naruto clones that had circled the camp. A few escaped, but the vast majority were killed or incapacitated. After everything was taken care of, they had a band of prisoners they would need to march to the local police force. They kept Tominori unconscious with a mild coma-inducing poison that Kakashi had concocted. Sakura asked if they would be going to Takigakure to drop off the missing Chunin. Kakashi shook his head. Negative, the mission was originated from there, but drop-off points included our village since we are allied with them. I don't intend to take you to any of the other villages right now. Even if we are at peace right now, it doesn't mean there aren't shinobi spying on each other. We believe we know who watches Konoha, but our intelligence is limited with Takigakure. They team accepted this and proceeded to drop off their prisoners and then return home to Konoha. That evening Naruto had difficulties sleeping. The deaths of the bandits were necessary and it was done in the heat of battle, but the sheer number, and the burnt bodies afterwards. Just thinking about it made him nauseous. Kakashi saw the boy's inner turmoil and addressed it. You know what you did was necessary. Hi Kakashi-sensei, but I can't get it out of my head. The attack me and Sasuke hit them with, it burned them so badly. I remember when you first showed us the attack, I was so excited to use it in a real battle. Now that I have, I almost wish I never learned it. Kakashi let the boy's words hang in the air. Naruto punched the ground. Why do I feel this way? They were murderers and scum, they deserved what they got. They killed people, they tried to kill us, what we did was good. The elite Jonin thought about his words and then answered, you're human, Naruto. You have compassion for other people. As long as it doesn't interfere with your missions, that's fine. Like I told Sakura, it gets easier, just make sure that you never come to enjoy the killing. Naruto had a shocked look on his face. Who could enjoy that? Kakashi grunted, you'd be surprised. What we do puts strain our minds, it affects people in different ways. Some turn to drink to suppress their memories. Others cease to care about anyone not from their village. Others revel in the power they have. Some say a good shinobi have no emotions, I disagree. Emotional decision making on the battlefield is foolish, but to be without emotions is to cease to be human. Naruto wrapped his arms around his own shoulders and shivered. Naruto had wished to deaden his feelings when he thought about the burning agony he inflicted on his enemies. But the way Kakashi said the word human resonated with him. If he stopped feeling, stopped caring, would he become the demon the villagers thought he was? Naruto dug into the core of his being and pulled out the determination and never give up attitude that defined him. I won't lose my emotions, Kakashi-sensei. But I won't quit either, I'm going to be the next Hokage. Kakashi smiled beneath his mask. Naruto was going to be just fine. Both he and Sakura were accepting of the harsh reality that was shinobi life. You killed people. He wasn't concerned about Sasuke. Sasuke had experienced death up close and personal when his entire clan was massacred. The deaths of others would not bother him unless he had a close bond. Kakashi considered this an actual asset to shinobi life, as long he did form those close bonds with the team. Kakashi wasn't a fool. He knew Sasuke was doing what he wanted in order to get more training and not out of his own personal desire. Going to the ramen stand with his teammates was just a way for Sasuke to show he was willing to play ball. Kakashi was willing to give it time, but he was also in quandary. The quickest way to form close bonds is to truly depend on the team. Sasuke needed to save his teammates in battle. He needed his comrades to save Sasuke. That is how lifelong bonds of friendship and trust were forged between shinobi. However, Kakashi was unwilling to put their lives at risk at this early juncture. The more often someone's life was at risk, the more likely they were to die, a fairly straightforward perspective. Kakashi's goal was to bring that chance to as close to nil as possible. One day Kakashi would not be able to watch over them during a mission, one day they would have to face threats that would demand Kakashi's full attention, but he needed them trained up before he would allow those risks to occur. It was a dilemma with no immediate cure. The journey home was quick and Team 7 was praised for their good work. Kakashi did not include in the mission report that Team 7 knew they were completing a B-ranked mission ahead of time. He also left out the elemental jutsus his team used. He did verbally inform the third Hokage of all the actual details. Hiruzen wasn't pleased that Kakashi had sent his team out on a probable B-ranked mission, but considering how it turned out, there really wasn't much of at risk with Kakashi personally handling the Chunin. Team 7 now officially had over a dozen D-ranked missions under their belts, 1 C-ranked mission, 1 B-ranked mission and 1 A-ranked mission. For a fresh genin team, that was rather unorthodox. Granted, both times they had officially set off on C-ranked missions. One had remained a C-rank mission that was done in tandem with the rank B retrieval mission. The other C-rank mission was removed as a C rank and made an A rank due to Zabuza's presence. With his team safely back within Konoha, it was time for even more training. Kakashi would keep his team within the village for the next 2 weeks for some heavy training. The paths for each of the genin were laid out in his mind. Naruto would improve his blade work while continuing to rapidly increase his weight to maximize his speed and strength. While he pushed his body to its limit over and over again each day, his clones would be working to refine his chakra control even further. Sakura was to master at least one combat-worthy genjutsu. Magen, Narakumi no Jutsu, demonic illusion, hell viewing technique, was not useful against shinobi, though it was handy against non-shinobi threats. And for testing fresh out of the academy genins, Kakashi wryly thought. Once Sakura mastered strong genjutsu, his team could easily and quickly take out threats. If she could hold the enemy in the genjutsu for just a couple of seconds, the kill could be delivered with the fire-air jutsu combination or even a close-in chidori from Sasuke. Beyond the genjutsu focus, Sakura would also work on improving her taijutsu. No one expected a genjutsu user to fight well in hand-to-hand. While she would never be as good as Naruto or Sasuke, it was still a needed skill for her. Sasuke now had enough chakra to successfully use the shadow clone technique, though he would only be able to create one clone and the lifespan was short. It would never be the training technique for him as it was for Naruto. However, Kakashi wanted Sasuke to use it in combat. Being able to deliver a front-line attack with a clone while you stayed back was just common sense in Kakashi's book. It would also be a good training tool in the fact the Sasuke clone could watch Sasuke spar, and then when it dissipated, Sasuke would be able to reflect on how he performed from his own perspective. Kakashi would also be training Sasuke's body hard. The Sharingan allowed Sasuke to see Jonin-level movement easily. Now his body just needed to keep up with his eyes. Plan in place for his 3 genin, Kakashi decided to enjoy a few rounds with some of his former comrades in Anbu. He wasn't particularly close to any of them, but they had served together doing the most treacherous and dangerous missions. While they couldn't go into details, they could certainly enjoy the quiet, and not so quiet depending on who was their companionship. The Jonin of Team 7 was impressed with his charge's progress. In the 2 weeks since returning from their second mission outside of the walls of Konoha, they had met the goals of the 2-week training he designed. Naruto's skill with the blade was now passable. While not truly impressive, it was all that was needed to still be frighteningly effective. Without his weights, he simply moved with enough speed that even when faced with someone with greater skill, he would have the advantage purely from speed. Kakashi was under no illusion that Naruto could handle a Jonin weapon master, but he would put his money on Naruto to defeat most Chunin in a Kenjutsu duel. That was before he abused the Kage Bunshin to create a swarm of viciously fast katana-wielding clones. Naruto's chakra control had continued to improve through his clones. He is an impressive shinobi. I can only imagine at what level he would have been if he hadn't been stunted through malnourishment and neglect all his life. Sasuke had mastered the shadow clone technique, and the insight the clone provided him after watching him spar was quite beneficial. The young genius rarely made mistakes as it is, but now he corrected them after every spar. Sasuke still lacked the speed to keep up with his eyes, but one couldn't expect to become an A-ranked shinobi in just a month or two. The steady improvement was sufficient. Sakura lacked a Jinchuriki's massive chakra or the incredible powers of a dojutsu, but she was still progressing into a fine shinobi. Despite the massively unfair advantage Sasuke's Sharingan gave him, he actually had to work to pin Sakura down. Her taijutsu movements were fluid and constantly shifting away from the fight at odd angles. Sakura was also becoming effective with using simple tricks at gaining distance. The pink-haired genin used Makebishi, Kawarimi and natural agility to avoid Sasuke for several minutes in one spar, much to the raven-haired boy's frustration. Her chief achievement, however, was the mastery of a genjutsu that could distract or even capture a trained shinobi. The genjutsu masked itself as a Raiden element attack. His student would flash through hand seals and shout Raiden, Mahi, lighting release, paralysis. At that point lightning would appear to surround her opponent, sending electric shocks that caused their muscles to spasm and hold them in place. In actuality it was Megan. Genkaku Mahi, demonic illusion, illusionary paralysis, a surprisingly effective genjutsu. Kakashi had laughed when Naruto was first caught in the genjutsu. In between his foe's screams of pain, the illusion created some pain, but not to the extent he had been screaming. He had yelled, "What?" Question mark. Sakura has 2 different elemental jutsu, I want to learn too. All the while he was completely paralyzed and Sakura just had to tap him on the base of his neck with her kunai to win the spar. At the time it was humorous, but shortly thereafter he realized Naruto needed work on escaping genjutsu. Kakashi had spent some time with him learning the Kai release process. With his chakra reserves, all but the most dangerous genjutsu should be disrupted. Of course, the problem with genjutsu was realizing you were under it in the first place, which mean Naruto still had a ways to go. On the positive side, Sakura's illusion was nearly perfect. She used the hand signs for an existing Raiden jutsu but turned it into a genjutsu. Only someone very skilled with chakra detection would be able to determine she was not changing the chakra nature to lightning. Alternatively, they could counter the perceived lighting attack with their own jutsu. When their attack failed to do anything, it might tip them off that they were under a genjutsu. While it wasn't perfect, it was a potentially lethal surprise, and with the speed Naruto and Sasuke had as well as the power of their combined jutsu, it was precisely the sort of jutsu that filled the needed support role in Team 7. Kakashi thought about his team as he reported to the Hokage Tower. He knew what the meeting was about. It was time for the semi-annual Chunin exams. His team was already Chunin in terms of raw taijutsu and ninjutsu abilities. While they lacked experience, their teamwork was quite formidable. While he wouldn't want his team to face a team of seasoned Chunin from an opposing village in the field 3-on-3, he wouldn't have bet against the 3 genin. Several of the other jonin were there before Kakashi, but he was not late. The last jonin instructor arrived and the Sandaime Hokage made his announcement. In 7 days the Chunin exams would be hosted. Genin from several villages would compete for the Chunin rank. The Hokage ticked off the villages: Sunagakure, Sand, Amegakure, Rain, Takigakure, Waterfall, Kusagakure, Grass, and even a team from a newly founded village, Odogakure, Sound. Kakashi kept a broad knowledge base of the hidden villages but had not yet heard of Odogakure. They must be extremely new then, Kakashi thought. The Hokage then asked which Jonin senseis were going to recommend their team take the Chunin exams. The Jonin instructors began to declare their teams ready. Guy enthusiastically proclaimed his team was ready and that the team would impress everyone with the power of youth. When it came down to the rookie 9, Asuma spoke first. "My team needs to get some motivation." He took a puff from his cigarette and continued, "Team 10 is in." There was some surprise at the announcement. Most Jonin did not have their teams participate at the first possible chance after graduating from the academy. Kurenai looked at Kakashi, who was silent and unreadable behind his mask. She wasn't sure if her team was fully ready, but their teamwork was excellent. With the way the Chunin exams were going to be set up this year, a tracker team would have a distinct advantage in navigating the forest of death. Seeing that Kakashi was waiting for her answer, she spoke up, "Team 8 will participate." More murmurings could be heard. All eyes then turned to Kakashi. Kakashi shrugged his shoulders. "It's too early for my team, Team 7 will not compete." The Hokage almost dropped his pipe. Guy looked at his rival. He was surprised and a bit disappointed, as he would have loved to see his genin compete with Kakashi's. Iruka loudly stated, "Finally a jonin with some sense. What are you two thinking, putting your teams through the Chunin exams so soon?" Asuma chuckled, It will be a good test for the team. Iruka shook his head and made to speak up again, but Kakashi interjected. Iruka, they are no longer your students, they are our soldiers. It is not your place to challenge this decision. Iruka subsided and the Hokage dismissed everyone except for Kakashi. Kakashi waited and Hiruzen sighed heavily and asked just one question. Why? The son of the White Fang responded, I see no need for my team to be promoted to Chunin. I have no desire for additional leadership responsibilities to be given to them at this time. This team will be a combat team and should stay together for several years. Being Chunin won't change anything for them, so why should I disrupt their training regime for a meaningless title? Sarutobi muttered, the council won't see it that way. They will question your ability to train. No one with any sense can doubt your combat prowess, but they will claim you are not capable of being an effective sensei. Kakashi was not moved by that argument. You are the Hokage, you have final authority on the shinobi force disposition. The council cannot and will not remove me as the Team 7 Jonin. They can make things difficult, Kakashi. Do you not think this would be a good opportunity for your team to prove themselves out from under your shadow? Kakashi shook his head, they will have plenty more opportunities in the future. I also don't want anyone to realize the potential threat Naruto and Sasuke are. A spectacle in front of an audience may lead to attacks to nip their budding potential. While I am confident in my abilities to keep them safe, I cannot be with them at all times. The third Hokage sighed. A headache was already beginning to form at the thought of meeting with an angry council demanding the last Uchiha participate. Very well, Kakashi, I will not override your decision. Kakashi bowed respectfully. Thank you, Hokage-sama. Sarutobi nursed his pipe. It would have been better if none of the rookie 9 had participated. But with teams 8 and 10 selected for the Chunin exam, the council may very well riot. I hope you know what you are doing, Kakashi. Break Team Gaara had arrived in Konohagakure early for the Chunin exams. Gaara had to suppress the bloodlust flowing through him. He longed to kill in the name of his mother, to prove his existence against blood that was worthy. But he had to wait. The waiting filled him with rage, but outwardly his appearance never changed. His siblings were wary of him for good reason. He was Gaara, the Jinchuriki of Sunagakure. The Naruto clone that was currently under a henge to look like a villager saw the three Chunin. The three looked competent and moved with the practiced ease of an experienced shinobi. The one with the red hair sent a shiver down its spine. There was something very off about him. Naruto was by no means an expert in reading people, but he had two clones just wander and observe shinobi and villagers each day. He started to pick up people's mannerisms, the way they looked when they were lying or when they were scared or angry. What he was picking up here was quite odd. The two taller siblings were very wary about their red-haired leader. Wary wasn't quite the word either. More like outright terror that they had learned to live with. The Naruto clone decided to follow for a bit. Naruto wasn't highly skilled at stealth, but he had picked up a number of tricks from his sensei. This meant it was a surprise when the red-haired boy stopped and turned, looking directly at him. Sand flowed around him and his voice was low and direct. Why are you following me? The disguise was that of a civilian villager. The clone responded saying, you look new in town, I was curious. Gaara merely responded, stop or I will kill you. The threat was made so matter of fact that it stunned the clone. An outside shinobi threatening a Konoha citizen with death for being curious. Naruto decided not to press the issue but would report it to Kakashi when he dispelled. Break Ino was irritated with her one-time friend and now rival. Though her opinion of Sasuke was damaged, she had rationalized that maybe he had been in a bad mood that day. Having to get stuck with Naruto in the forehead would drive even the kindest of souls to distraction. The reason she was irritated with Sakura was because Sakura still hadn't come home. The sun was already setting and she wanted to find out if Team 7 was also going to be in the Chunin exams. Where could she be? Just when Ino was about ready to give up and head home herself, she saw the pink-haired Kunoichi turn toward her home. Ino huffed and crossed her arms and said, where have you been? Sakura was a bit taken aback by the sudden question. She hadn't agreed to meet with Ino today, so why was she blaming her? I was training. Why? Ino looked surprised. Training? This late in the day? Sakura nodded. I want to get better and be useful to my Sasuke-kun. Ino gave a condescending laugh. My Sasuke-kun doesn't need any help from you. Sakura rolled her eyes. Why are you here anyway? Ino huffed again and said, I just wanted to see if your team is also going to be part of the Chunin exams. Sakura shook her head. Chunin exams? Kakashi-sensei hasn't told us anything about that. Wait, are you saying your team is going to participate? Ino stood a little bit straighter. We sure are. I guess you and Naruto are dragging down Sasuke-kun so badly your sensei didn't nominate you. She sighed dramatically. I feel so awful for Sasuke, having to put up with you two. Sakura had the urge to kick her friend in her haughty face. You don't know anything, Ino, just go. Ino had not wanted to start a fight. She had secretly hoped that Team 7 would also be in the exams. At that point there was no easy way to save face, so she just harumphed and stalked off. That didn't go very well. I really shouldn't have been so mad that she made me wait. She didn't even know I was coming. Oh well. Sakura had gained some perspective, and to be honest, she had missed her friend. Kakashi-sensei taught his students to see underneath and then look underneath the underneath. That type of dedication and awareness to one's surroundings had made one thing painfully clear to Sakura. Sasuke hated fangirls. The way she and Ino had acted had filled the boy with contempt for them, not love. And the way they competed with each other had driven in a wedge between her and Ino, her first friend. At the moment Sakura was too tired to even think about it. She just wanted to eat and collapse asleep. Her training kept intensifying more and more, and she knew despite all of her hard work her two teammates were pushing themselves even harder. I will be strong, not just for my Sasuke-kun but for Naruto and everyone in the village. *********. Team 7 met the following morning. Naruto immediately reported the strange genin from Suna to Kakashi. Kakashi was a bit surprised. He actually threatened to murder you in broad daylight if you kept following him. Naruto nodded. Kakashi had a few theories on this. Either the boy was braggart who was all bark and no bite, a borderline psychopath, or extremely powerful beyond that of most genin. Good work, Naruto. I'll make sure we keep eyes on him while in the village. Security has been increased due to the exams, so the Anbu forces are a bit stretched, but it will be doable. I'll also see if I can dig up any information on him and his team. Sasuke had not realized the Chunin exams were here. He had focused solely on his training and had for the most part ignored events occurring in the village. Are we going to be competing in the Chunin exams, Kakashi-sensei? Sasuke kept an even tone, but he longed to participate. The training surpassed his expectations, but he had a strong desire to fight without being babysat by his sensei. Kakashi looked at Sasuke and asked, "What do you think?" Sasuke took the challenge for what it was and replied, "Yes, we are ready." Kakashi just looked at Sasuke impassively. Sasuke was shinobi trained, he didn't fidget, but he was uncomfortable by Kakashi's flat look. Kakashi allowed the silence to drag on for a minute before he finally replied, "Tell me what you really think." My actual guess is that we aren't all part of your plan to have us be underneath any notice," Sasuke finished in a frustrated tone. Kakashi condescendingly clapped his hands. The logic is simple to follow, Sasuke. By following through with my plan you are better positioned to avenge your family and rebuild your clan. And yet you are still angry with the decision. Explain yourself, shinobi. Sasuke forced himself to keep a respectful tone. I have no way of knowing how I compare to others. I need to know I am the best, because if I'm not, I need to find out how I can be the best, otherwise I'll never do what I need to. Kakashi scratched his mask as he answers, so comparing yourself to the weakest of the shinobi ranks will determine if your skills are where they need to be. Quit twisting my words. I need to prove myself. Sasuke's respectful tone had left rather swiftly. Sakura was concerned at the heat coming from her Sasuke-kun's voice. He was angry and his frustration was boiling over. You don't need to do anything, Sasuke. You are a soldier under my command. You have been a shinobi of this village for less than 6 months. Do you think this is the only opportunity you will receive? You want to compete because of your pride, not because you have coldly analyzed the advantages and negatives for competing. Sasuke wanted to retort, but Kakashi held up his hand. It is that kind of thinking that makes me certain you are not ready for the Chunin exams. Yes, this team would probably crush all of the other genin teams out there. So what? Being a Chunin is more than just your ability to fight, it is also about making the right decisions. You are allowing your pride and emotions to cloud your judgment. You aren't ready to become a Chunin. Sasuke forced himself to calm down. Kakashi was always testing him. If he blew up at him, he would just be validating Kakashi's decision. A shinobi did not yell at his superior. Sasuke took in a deep breath. Thank you for clarifying your decision. I see that you are correct and I respect your decision. Kakashi moved with every ounce of his speed. If Sasuke had his Sharingan active, he would be able to see the movement, but even then it was doubtful he could have stopped the blow. Kakashi slammed his fist into Sasuke's stomach, driving the wind completely out of him. He lifted the genin off the ground with the blow, and then while the boy was still in mid-air, he hit him with a spinning heel kick that sent Sasuke crashing into a tree. Sasuke gasped like a fish for air. He crumpled toward the ground only to be caught by Kakashi by the front of his shirt. Kakashi pinned him to the tree and fixed him a one-eyed glare. I told you not to lie to me, Sasuke. On our very first day of training I told you not to put up a false front. Disagree with me if you like, but do not attempt to deceive me. You don't respect my decision. I can sense your deception even before you spoke. Sakura gasped at the harsh treatment Sasuke-kun was receiving. However, she knew interfering would only embarrass him and solve nothing. Naruto kept his expression even and did his best to avoid moving at all. Sasuke got his breathing under control. What do you want from me then? Kakashi released him and backed up, giving the boy some space. I want your honesty as well as the appropriate level of respect. I don't expect you to agree with my decisions if you disagree with them. I would have accepted something as simple as, I disagree, sensei, and will do my best to prove myself in the next 6 months. Kakashi paused. Instead, you choose to lie and pretend I had convinced you of my decision. I am here to train your chakra, body and mind. Do not parrot words you think I want to hear. State your case cleanly and respectful, but never lie to me or your team. Sasuke was angry at himself now. Kakashi had warned him about this before. He was only worsening his position. The decision had already been finalized. All he had done was earn the ire of the person best suited to train him. I apologize, Kakashi-sensei. I should not have lied to you. Kakashi turned to the other two. And what about you two? What are your thoughts on not being able to compete in the Chunin exams? Naruto answered first. I'm disappointed, Kakashi-sensei. I see the value in keeping strength hidden, but it's hard to see my classmates compete while I'm stuck on the sideline. Sakura chimed in. I think I need more training anyway. Naruto and Sasuke are ahead of me and I'd probably ruin their chances against the experienced teams anyway. Naruto responded. No way, Sakura-chan. That's not how a team works. You play a support role. It's not expected for you to go toe-to-toe with the front-line components of the team. The three shinobi stared at Naruto. Naruto rubbed the back of head sheepishly. What? I read it in 2 different books on the appropriate roles for a combat team. This team has 3 ninjutsu, taijutsu specialists. A 4th wouldn't add any synergy. Having a genjutsu specialist is even better than another frontline fighter. I can show you the book if you don't believe me. Kakashi couldn't help but laugh. Naruto, it's fine. Thank you for supporting your teammate. Sakura, I have no doubts this team could handle the Chunin exams, but by doing so everyone would see the team's abilities. That is my concern. Seeing that the team needed some cheering up, he said, since you are not in the Chunin exams, that gives us time to do AC ranked mission. That did brighten the team's disposition as their sensei began to explain what they would be doing. Asterisk 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 break asterisk asterisk asterisk. Hinata Hyuga was nervous. Her team had entered the Chunin exams and she did not want to let Kiba and Shino down. The test in front of her scared her. They would pass and fail as a team. Thankfully her dojutsu was perfect for this type of exam. She located someone confidently writing answers and copied them with her Byakugan. She had already finished the 9 questions on the exam and that left her time to think. She had not seen Naruto-kun in the exam area. That must mean Naruto's team was not selected for the Chunin exams. If they aren't ready, how am I ready? All of the genin in here are older and wiser than us. I know Kiba and Shino have worked very hard, but I'm going to bring them down. Hinata was working herself up to greater heights of worry and anxiety as the minutes of the exam trickled down. Ibiki Morino then introduced the 10th question. Hinata gasped. If she got the last answer wrong, Kiba and Shino could never become Chunin. As long as someone wrote the answer down, she would just copy it, but what if it was different? This question was a curveball. Maybe there was another twist. Maybe each person had a different question that was given to them. Hinata was sure that Shino would pass, but she also worried about Kiba, who didn't have a skill to help him copy answers like she and Shino did. And even if we all answer the question correctly, I'm still way out of my league here. I can't ruin Kiba and Shino's careers. I have to raise my hand. Perhaps if there had been someone to distract her from these thoughts in the exam room, things would have gone differently. But without that distraction, Hinata raised her hand and her team was dismissed. Shino inclined his head toward Hinata. While disappointed, he knew she had acted based on a desire to help her team. Kiba was not so understanding. Kiba growled, "What the hell were you thinking, Hinata? We've failed the test because you were too scared. You're pathetic." Hinata bowed her head in shame at her teammates' angry words. Shino put a hand on Kiba and said, "Enough." Kiba pushed Shino's hand away and stalked out of the building furiously. Thank you, Shino-san," Hinata stuttered out. The Aburame simply nodded and walked with Hinata as they went to find their Jonin instructor. Shikamaru saw Team 8 leave and was tempted to follow course. While he knew there was no 10th question, it sure would be a drag to have to continue competing in the Chunin exams. While he was considering the pros and cons to not having to do the exam versus Ino's shrill screams, the proctor announced they pass. How troublesome. Break Team 7 returned from a rather simple C-ranked mission on the 5th day of the Chunin exams. They would be allowed to watch the preliminary bouts that the survivors of the Forest of Death had to fight before the 3rd portion of the exam. The other genin would not know they were there, as they would be behind a false wall above the 2nd tier of the battle area. It was a blatant favoritism shown to Team 7. However, the Hokage could see the advantage of having Sharingan observers pick up any jutsu that was used. Kakashi was a regular observer to most Chunin and Jonin exams. Hiruzen saw little reason to exclude the rest of Team 7 when Kakashi made his request. Sasuke had given thought to his spat with Kakashi and realized he really had acted like an idiot. Kakashi was remarkably straightforward with his team. He clearly outlined what he expected of them at every turn. Work as a team. Train hard. Don't lie to him or each other. Hide your strength. Work as a team. Kill swiftly when required. Don't take chances. His sensei had succulently explained why these were of vital importance. It all followed a logical pattern. All Sasuke had to do was follow the instructions and he would be granted power through training in new jutsu. And twice now he had risked his sensei's wrath. Why? Why would he risk one of the great assets he had at his disposal? The training and support of the Leaf's most elite Jonin. The shinobi who had copied a 1000 jutsu. Kakashi taught him to analyze himself with the Kage Bunshin, and at the same time he taught him to analyze his own actions and the reasons for them. Why did Sasuke care about competing in the Chunin exams? He wanted to say it was because he needed to find out how strong he was. He wanted to say that it would allow him to test himself against other powerful shinobi. But looking inwardly proved that false. Kakashi had taught him to see things as they are, not as he wanted them to be. He faced the truth. He wanted to revel in victory, personal victory, not just a victory for his team. He wanted to stand triumphant, to have other people acknowledge his power, the power of the Uchiha clan. With this new piece of self-discovery, he considered its importance compared to the stated goals he had. Destroying Itachi and rebuilding the Uchiha clan. If his third goal was pride and adulation of the village, was it more important than his initial two goals? No, it isn't, it's pure vanity. Realizing this didn't mean it wasn't a desire for Sasuke. He would bring pride to the name Uchiha, he would be the Uchiha most remembered by history. But he should also go about it in a way that maximized his chances. The Sharingan did not make him invincible, he could be killed in battle before he achieved any of his three goals. If the world knew that he had an unlocked Sharingan, he could be the target of ambitious villages like Iwa or Kumo. If they wished to war with Konoha in the future, it would be in their best interest to eliminate a true heir of the Uchiha clan. Kakashi had showered them with stories of powerful shinobi with vast potential who were cut down before their prime. Sasuke shook his head, trying to clear his thoughts. He thought so different now than he had a few months ago. It was almost like he was a different person. The overt analysis of every action he made, the actions of those around him, and the potential ramifications of everything he thought or did gave him a new outlook. In a way it was exhausting, but he knew it made him stronger. He cleared his head and ordered his priorities. Kill Itachi. That was still more important than rebuilding his clan or showcasing his power to the village. After that was rebuilding his clan. And finally it was to showcase his talent to Konoha and the world. Kakashi-sensei had been right about everything so far. He would follow his game plan and become stronger. When the time was right and Team 7 was disbanded, he would do things differently, but he would keep the lessons Kakashi had taught him. Mind clear and ready to fulfill his role, he walked in with the rest of Team 7 to stand with his sensei behind the false wall. He listened to the Hokage's brief speech and saw Kabuto's choice to remove himself from the Chunin exam. That left 14 genin. Too many for the finals, and it was decided that there would be a series of 6 battles, with 2 buys, that would automatically progress to the final rounds. This would leave 8 contestants to fight in the last stage. The contestants were mostly from Konoha. Guy's team, Team 10, and Kabuto's team made 8 from the Leaf. Team Gaara from Suno was there, as was the team from Oto. Sasuke was interested in seeing how Neji fought. As another dojutsu user, there might be much he could learn from how Neji used his bloodline. The genin also was curious about Gaara. He had heard Naruto's report of the boy and was intrigued. Sasuke grinned at the possibility of learning new jutsu with his Sharingan. He looked intently at the board as the first names populated.